1. I, an autistic woman in my early 20s, work at one of the few toy stores that still exists. We have surprisingly few entitled parents, or at least few that I have noticed. The store has a decent range of products, some nice and cheap crap. One of the cheaper things that we sell is a stretchy and squishy cheese fidget that comes with 2 mice, one inside the cheese and one outside in the plastic bag inside the small square box. The cardboard box tends to fall apart as it gets handled, and children will generally do anything to get toys out of its packaging in the store if they are left alone. One evening, a group consisting of an entitled mom, a decent kid, an entitled friend enter the store. The kid looks around and seems to really like the cheese fidget that he opened and is playing with the cheese and mice. The mom snatched it from the kid's hands and starts to examine the fidget. She then looks for another box of the same toy and starts to open the packaging. I, looking up from my phone and trying to do the bare minimum for my job, ask the woman to please not open the merchandise. She's scandalized and says, "I'm at a toy store. My kid is just playing with a toy and I want to make sure that it has everything before we buy it." I'm a little confused and bored as to why she doesn't just buy an unopened box then. "Ma'am, please don't open the merchandise. We need it to be in sellable condition for other customers." The EM opens the toy as I'm speaking and examines it. She raises her voice and says, "You can't speak to customers with that tone and that expression on your face. You're looking at me like I'm doing something wrong when I'm at a toy store." My manager comes over and asks if everything is okay. The EM shouts at her, "It's unacceptable how your employee is looking at me. She shouldn't look at customers that way." My manager attempts to de-escalate and tells EM that I was only looking out for the store's best interests. I'm starting to feel like I may cry, because I don't deal with being yelled at well as the EM rages on. After the EM repeats several times that my behavior is unacceptable, I struggle to say while crying, "Ma'am, I'm autistic. I can't control my facial expressions." The EM's anger seems to turn to a bit of guilt as my manager tells me that I can take a break in the back, and she finishes the interaction and transaction with the EM. Thankfully, I have not seen this customer again. 2. I've read about entitled people, but outside of my school, I have never been in contact with any of them long enough to deal with them. That was until recently. I'm a 33-year-old male. I'm an ELA teacher based in China for the last 3.5 years. First, a little bit of information before I get to the story. There's a bit of a pay gap between foreign and Chinese teachers. It's also a well-known fact, but only the most opportunistic ones like to capitalize on it from time to time, if you're not careful. It can be anything from charging more it stands to, on the rarest of rare occasions, guilting them into complying. Trust me, it has happened, and those select few are not apologetic about it. Now on to the story. It was Chinese New Year, and I was on the train to Chongqing to visit a friend. I don't like flying, and I really like trains. I had my Samsung Tab S8 Plus, and was watching Final Fantasy VII Advent Children with my Bluetooth. Suddenly, I felt something nudging against me. I looked to see a kid, maybe in elementary, trying to look at the movie, so I turned off my Bluetooth and turned the tablet onto him so he can watch. Sounds weird, but being a teacher here, you get used to it. Anyway, he was really immersed, and though I couldn't understand him, I could tell that he was enjoying it a lot. He was trying to talk to me, but his English wasn't so good, and my Chinese was worse. So he opted for, "I like this," "so cool," "me too," and things like that, very basic English. He was a sweet kid, and he got to watch the whole thing before our stop. He even said Chongqing, and I said, "Me too." He waved goodbye, and ran back to his mom, and I began to pack my things, so I get off. Then it happened. A woman approached me with the kid and in perfect English demanded my tablet. She literally said, "Give me a tablet." I thought I was in the Twilight Zone and wanted to ensure I heard her correctly. "Excuse me, give me your tablet. I want my son to have it." I refused, a simple no, and she said those magic words that I'd begun hating to hear. "But you're a foreigner. You can just buy another one." Now, a couple of things. One, I don't know if the kid really wanted my tablet or not. Frankly, I didn't care. 2, I come from a family that has taught me to never let anyone make you feel less than others. If someone tries to take my dignity, it's not going to end well for that person, and no, I don't actually have to fight to get my point across. Fair warning, I'm paraphrasing the confrontation because it lasted a lot longer than I cared for. No, I can't. I had to save to buy this. You can do the same. No, you can give me yours and stop being selfish. Again, I countered, or you can stop being an entitled bitch and buy your own. It was my first time seeing a shocked Pikachu face, and to rub salt in the wound, I added, shoo, shoo. She did go away, only to come back with the police. That I should have seen coming. But I didn't because I was focused on getting off the train. Luckily for me, he also spoke English with great fluency. He was also really polite and obviously not in the mood for any of it. So this woman says you stole her tablet. I saw the woman behind him with a triumphant smirk while speaking Chinese. I let out a sigh. I had already wasted enough time on this nonsense, so I did what I always did when I wanted to get my point across in the quickest way possible. I turned cold. In fact, my students refer to me as turning into Bing Laoshi, ice teacher. I looked at the police officer and said, I'll make a deal with you. I'm going to use my fingerprint to unlock this tablet. If it doesn't work, she can have it. If it does work, I get to bash her face in. That woman's Pikachu face came back so fast that the officer even had a shocked look. He asked me if I was serious, and I said definitely. I guess the woman saw my face and tried to backpedal, but I wasn't going to let her go until I made my point. When she tried to leave, I said, Where are you going? I thought you said this was yours. The woman looked to the police for help, but as I said, he was not in the mood, and just spoke as she was. She said something in Chinese to the man for only the man to give a short reply. I guess he wasn't going to entertain this and make sure I didn't hit her. How dare you? You had the nerve to try to take something that's mine because I'm a foreigner. You're disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. The woman had a mixture of fear, shock, and anger on her face when I finally asked, Is this your tablet? When the woman said no, I leaned my head in toward her and barked. What was that? She finally said that the tablet was mine before taking her kid and leaving. The kid waved goodbye to me despite his mother's actions, and I smiled and waved back. The officer asked me if I was serious about hurting her, and I told him the truth. I wouldn't have hit a woman over an object. He laughed and wished me a happy Chinese New Year. I told my friend about this, and we had a good laugh. 3. I wish to start this off by saying hello and good day to you all. Goodness, I sound too formal. But anyways, I warn you, there are some offensive terms here, and the story is tiring to say the least. This story takes place about 2.5 weeks ago. At around 8 p.m., I work at Burger King, so you know this is going to be fun. Around 8, a fresh 2022 BMW pulls into the drive-thru. The lady orders and all seems well. But there's a small detail that'll help explain what happened. She ordered 3 family bundles, 6 other sandwiches, 6 large fries, and 6 drinks. A family bundle itself is 4 burgers, 4 medium fries, and 4 4-piece nuggets itself. So yeah, this was a large and expensive order. She pays, and I tell her to give me a moment so I can get the change since we didn't have enough at the back. She doesn't complain, yell, or even make a face. She just says, "Take your time, sir." So I go and get the change. It was about 5 or 6 minutes, and boy, as soon as I walk towards the window, she rips it. "Where's your fucking manager? This is theft, and I'm calling the police." I have your change, ma'am. But if you'd like to see my manager, I can go get her." "Do it right now, you damn thief." "Okay, give me 1 minute." So I walk around, tell my manager what's going on, and she sighs and says I can handle it. So I just shrug and walk back. "My manager is busy, ma'am, but I can help if you have an issue." "The issue is that you stole my money and tried to walk off, brat." "I literally have your change right here in my hand. If I could have had 2 seconds to give it to you, you'd have it." She then told me not to get smart with her and compared me to a primitive animal. "I know you wanted to take my money." I'm mixed, for the record. Whoa. First off, that was inappropriate and uncalled for. Secondly, if I wanted your money, I wouldn't be here to hand it to you now, would I? "Just give me the damn money so I can leave." Fine, so I hand her the money and go about my day. For 2 minutes. Then my manager calls me and tells me they need help preparing the order. I tell them I'm about to hand them the order when the entitled dad leans forward and says something even more racist, and that he doesn't want me touching his food, and to remake it now. My manager snaps around like a Roblox character and walks to the window and says, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat it?" And then he repeated it, because of course. He then threatened to call the cops while calling me a little thief. My manager gives him the sweetest smile and says sorry, drive-thru is closed for the day, and closes the window. They peel out the drive-thru and come inside. He then starts cursing with more nonsense and vitriol. Then again threatens to call the police. My manager tells him to go ahead. I'll tell him about all the racial slurs and profanity you've been throwing at us. EM paces the lobby, and eventually the sane kid walks in. Mom, Dad, let's just go, please. I feel kind of sorry for her. She's red as can be, and you can tell she's embarrassed of how her parents are acting. No, these thieves stole our food and tried to steal our money. I can't let these poor people deal with that.
Besides, you're a kid, so shut up and get back in the car. We'll be out there soon.
The kid just looks exhausted, looks at us and mouths sorry before walking out. Listen, I didn't take your damn money. The only reason you haven't gotten your food is because you're being racist and offensive. She screamed and hollered a little more of the same thing with the dad, but me and my manager just sat there because, what could we do? Argue back? We called the cops, but none had showed yet. So eventually they left, but the mom didn't leave without something snide. No. She left me a sweet little note. Oh, OP, and she called me by my actual name. I didn't have a name tag at the time and never had a previous encounter with her. Keep an eye out because we wouldn't want you to have an accident. And then she left. We called the cops again, explained everything, and now I wait. Eventually I got a call from my manager. The same lady showed up to Burger King asking for me. My manager said she seemed frantic, just off. Come to find out she was on drugs that day. My manager called the cops, and now she sits in a jail cell. So moral of the story, don't be entitled. Just be a decent human being. 4. One morning, I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get some coffee and a bagel. It was a beautiful day, sunny and fresh. I got into my car, unwrapped my treat, and just as I was taking a bite, wham! My car rocks because something slammed into my car door. I look up, shocked, only to see an angry-looking middle-aged man with the dumbest sunglasses and pink face.
How do you like it?
He shuts down from his Dodge Durango as he slams his car door into mine forcefully a second time. Shocked and outraged, I shout, "What the fuck?" through my open window while he continues to yell obscenities at me. He starts screaming that I hit his car when I opened my door. I literally do not remember this. I don't recall hearing it or feeling it when I got it, but it's possible that I just wasn't paying attention. So honestly, at most, it would have been a tap. Either way, I definitely didn't slam my car door into his, and he was doing a hell of a lot more damage to his car than the alleged damage I could have done. My adrenaline skyrockets. I'm yelling too now, and I open my door to confront this dude, and he jumps back, reaches around between the seats, and pulls a confused toddler on his lap. A shield. Is this dude using his toddler as a shield? This dude really thinks I'm about to do violence or something? It was a good move, though, because I immediately realized what a joke this dude was and how sorry I felt for the kid he wanted to protect himself with. What a chump he was for doing all that with a baby in the car the whole time. I'm a black woman, and I was 22 years old at the time. He was white, probably late 30s, early 40s. I bring my race card up because after that confrontation I was baffled at why he looked scared when I got up. I'm 5'5", maybe 180 pounds. Really can't fathom why he suddenly grew fearful. Did he think I was going to shoot him or punch him? It was really fucking weird. And now, over a decade later, I still think about that guy occasionally, like, what was his deal? Why would he bang up his car so much? I had a beater car at the time, 97 Lumina, so it's not like he could have thought I cared about my car. I'm not a confrontational person, and this was the most explosive interaction I've had with a stranger, while sober. 5. I work at a music store. My store sells instruments, obviously, rents out instruments, repairs instruments, and provides private lessons. I get some crazy customers every now and then, but this is one where I got physical. This mom and dad and their child, who looks to be about 10-ish years old, walk in and I could completely tell the kid is attention deficit. Super hyper, asking questions to his parents randomly, running to the pianos and pounding on the keys, and just wouldn't stop his hyperactivity. Anyway, they come and want to rent out a trumpet because kid wants to be in band and orchestra. Dad just had a frown on his face the whole time while mom was being very civil and, at the same time, trying to calm the kid down while dad just had the "I really don't want to be here at all" look on his face. I tell the parents that renting a trumpet is $26 a month before tax. $20 goes into equity that can be used to purchase an instrument in the future, and the other $6 is for our liability damage waiver in case it gets damaged, lost, stolen, etc. That extra $6 a month would get him something else if the worst happened. The mom agrees to everything, but the dad scoffed and rolled his eyes and asked if the LDW is optional. I tell him yes, but is very highly recommended because if something happens to the instrument, they will be liable for the cost if they don't get the LDW. He assures me that nothing will happen, and that he doesn't need to pay extra for bullshit. I didn't tell the parents this, but based on what I'm seeing out of the kid's behavior, I had that feeling in my bones that something was going to happen to the trumpet due to the kid's hyperactivity. It takes roughly 5 minutes to do the paperwork for a rental. About halfway through, Dad says to Mom,
"This is taking forever. I'm going to walk to Home Depot and get my tools."
There's a Home Depot right across the parking lot. Mom says that the gentleman, me, is almost done and tells him to be patient. He just tells her to grab the kid and meet him there when he's done. He then left. Mom apologized for his behavior and finished the rental with that guilty look on her face. After the mom and hyper kid left, I joked with my coworker and told him, "Just wait and watch them come back in the near future with a damaged trumpet without the LDW." He agreed but laughed it off, just like I did. And I thought that was the end of everything. My joke turned out to be a foreshadow. 3 days later, I'm working with my manager and the dad comes in by himself with a trumpet out of its case. His pupils were so dilated that I had to guess he was high on something that was not weed. The trumpet's lead pipe was bent at a damn near 45-degree angle, and there was a nasty dent on the bell. When I asked him what happened, the guy straight up said, "You asshole rented us out a bad trumpet that cannot withstand damage. I work in construction, and I know that metal doesn't bend after it's dropped." That was bull, because from personal experience, brass instruments do bend and dent if they're dropped, and especially since this is a low-brand instrument, which we do normally rent out to beginner players, it is way more sensitive. He was demanding that he gets another trumpet with better quality. My manager asked him if he signed up for the LDW. He cursed and said, "I didn't want to pay anything but a rental fee." My manager then told him that we couldn't get him another trumpet without the LDW, so he is liable for the cost of repair. Dad wasn't having any of it, but my manager did tell him that's our company policy. On to the climax. He then grabbed my manager by her wrist and started making claims about how the customer is supposed to be treated right. I went into rage because, you don't put your hands on a woman like that. I told him to get out right now. That's when he reached his hand back and smacked her in the face like a pimp. Fearing for my manager's safety, I quickly grabbed him by the bottom of his chin and slammed him onto the floor. I screamed in his face while holding him down. "You chose not to get the LDW. The trumpet is clearly damaged and you are liable for it for not wanting to pay an extra $6. Now get out, now, and take your broken trumpet with you." I was afraid that he would start fighting me back, but thankfully he did not. I released him and he walked out all huffed up and didn't take the trumpet with him, all while flipping us off on his way out. After his high enraged ass left, I looked at my manager, whose face was already beginning to bruise, and asked if she was okay. She was, and thanked me for standing up for her. But she also told me that this was something that had to get corporate's attention. Long story short, after the rock bottom and corporate being notified, I didn't get fired for assaulting a customer because 1, Dad started everything, and 2, who knows what could have happened if I didn't stop him from doing more harm. The next day, which was my day off, my manager called me and said the mom called the store and apologized for what happened. From what I was told, she was already in the process of filing for divorce due to his drug addiction and abuse. She also came to the store later and paid for a dirt-cheap trumpet to purchase. Since the rental was on Dad's credit card and he chose to leave the broken one behind, his next month payment would be the cost of the repair. This was back in October of 2021, so today I'm hoping that mom and kid are away from him, and I hope the kid learned how to take better care of the instrument. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to The Impractical Proudness of Parents, Ipop, episode 102. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do bonk the like button before you go, and share the video around with friends and family. That is more helpful than you know. Actually, it's not. I've told you many times. You know how helpful it is. Okay, let's see. I don't think there's any shout-outs today. I know there's no birthday shout-outs. Let me just double-check. No. Okay, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, if you had a choice, and this one again is thanks to Donovan, would you choose to stay forever young? So you've got the hotness forever, but you're in poor health. Or you will grow old, but you'll remain perfectly healthy in doing so for the remainder of your life, however long that might be. I mean, I've done the first one, so no thanks. It's not that great. So I think I'd rather be old and healthy. Much better. But you might have different ideas. You might have different feelings on the matter. So please let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.